Hello and welcome back to the Wealth Management Unfiltered podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Like, subscribe, follow us on all the platforms, social media, podcasts, if you listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. We have a full crew today. We have Denny Runkle, Kaylee Alment from Titusville, and we have Chris Hanna and Mark Ellington from the Fort Wayne office. I'm in Fort Wayne, so we got Indiana and Florida represented. It is a full crew because we have a great topic today. Some people love talking about this. Some people hate talking about this, but we're talking about New Year's resolutions. We're going to talk about things we should think about, questions we should ask to set ourselves up well for not only 2023, but 2024 and the future. Me personally, I don't know what you guys think about New Year's resolutions. I personally don't set them. I set goals all the time, but I know a lot of people do. And I'm going to pull a quote, Denny, because you like quotes, from Frank Sinatra. He's like some artist, musician. Mark's like,
Danny and I know who he is.
Yeah. Kaylee, do you know who Frank Sinatra is?
I know the name.
He sings like the New York song, right?
I know
New Year's Eve. There you go.
There you go. So
One time I listened to him here.
Yep. So Frank says the best is yet to come, and that is the theme. You may have had challenges in the past with your planning. You may have a lot of questions. You may have a lot of baggage if you're watching this, but the best is yet to come. Listen to Frank, and let's listen to the fine folks here on this podcast today. So let's dive into New Year's resolutions. I want to start with you, Denny. You know, people listening to this, it's January, maybe early February when they get to this. It's middle of tax season. They're off the holidays. What are some things people, business owners, employees should be thinking about right now as it relates to their wealth management and planning?
Probably the most misunderstood is tax planning and wealth management starts now. Instead of thinking about it, what you should have done in 2022. So tax planning, everybody's thinking, oh, why would I tax plan now? But we have, for a number of years, stressed to our clientele that December, the last quarter of the year, is when the tax planning needs to happen. And so our accounting firm, that's their busiest 2 months, November and December. Most accounting firms, they're gone. They're the tax preparers. This is the month that's the slowest month of the year. It is our busiest. So we just had a new client, Kaylee and I, from Texas yesterday, and they're asking about what can you do for 2022? And I said, well, we'll make sure that 2023 doesn't look like 2022. It's the only thing I can do. And they go, why haven't I ever had anyone tell me that? So today we start tax planning for this year. We don't wait to think about it a year from now. So the biggest resolution I can make is that people would change their whole perception of when they need to think about tax liability.
So a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach, which it seems like most firms, unfortunately, that's what they preach, or do, is more of a reactive approach. We're proactive. Mark, what are some resolutions that maybe your clients have or that you want your future clients to have this time of year?
Well, we do year-end meetings before the end of the year. So we're really looking at where they've been and then where are they going for next year. So really a lot of our clients we've already met with, we've already cast the vision for 2023. So, most of our people are prepared for 2023. Chris and I have put together the plan moving forward. But, you have I was just at a meeting yesterday where a lot of people had done nothing. And so it's just what Denny was saying. Hey, Mark, what can you do? Nothing, but we sure can put a plan together for 2023.
And to be clear, no firm can do can change really the past, right? And we talked in a past podcast, most people when they read financial reports, they're reading history. They're not reading towards the future. And so it's not that we just can't do anything. We're planning for your now and then for your future. And we'll help you clean up 2022, a little bit and do what we need to do. But moving forward, it'll look different. Chris, what are some resolutions that are maybe different from what Mark and Denny said?
That was exactly my thought. So I'm glad you led with that. I wanted to take it to a different perspective. So I got two of them. One is, we're part of ProTax, and we've turned the leaf. We had our first big meeting yesterday with all of our staff for our tax team. Is, help your CPA out, help your tax team out. Get your stuff into your tax firm as soon as possible. Don't delay. We're still waiting for some of the programs to all come up so we can start tax returns. But the sooner that they get in, the sooner we can help clients get done. Everybody pretty much has the same deadline, unfortunately, and that means our days get squeezed. So, when people wait around to get their tax stuff to us, it just really backs up. It's like going down the freeway. You're flying at 65, 75 miles per hour. Some other people at 85. I won't mention those names on here. And all of a sudden you see all the taillights and everybody hits their brakes and you get stuffed up on the freeway. And that's the way tax season is. And so the earlier you get your stuff in, the better. So I just encourage everyone to contact ProTax, 260-484-1673 to get their taxes done as soon as possible. The other thing is IRAs. This is a great time to do traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs. Perhaps you might still be able to do some simple IRAs, if you're a business owner. So it's important to make sure you get that done as soon as possible too, and not wait. Just make it a lot easier for us when we do your taxes. And also, the earlier you get your money into retirement, the longer it has to grow.
Right. I was going to ask you, why is now specifically a good time to do an IRA?
Number one, for traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs, the deadline is April, I'm going to say 17th this year. I think 15th is on a weekend. May not have the exact date, probably should.
We'll have it on screen, no worries.
Yeah, we'll get the exact date because thankfully we get extra days when they're on the weekend. And so, there's deadlines there that we can't extend, and so people need to make sure that they can get those contributions in. And it's important too because, we have many clients that do make a pretty good income, and sometimes they don't qualify that. If you have over a certain amount of income, you can't even put money possibly into a traditional or Roth. So that's why you really need to meet with your tax planner or meet with Mark and I or Denny and Kaylee to make sure, find out which retirement programs you are eligible for. And if you're not, you might want to look at overfunding life insurance. It might be a great tool to get some similar tax deferment that can help you out in retirement and down the road.
Love it. Kaylee, our co-host Kaylee, if I'll introduce you, what is a not tax resolution? Maybe it's tax. What's a New Year's resolution, for this year for our clients that you can think of?
I would say that right now, the big thing that I'm working on with most clients is just getting the house in order, making sure that we're set up for planning in 2023, making sure that they're moving forward and not looking towards passive 2022 and where they're coming from, and planning for success. That's a big thing, is that we're really rooting for them. And so making sure that as we're moving forward, we're meeting and helping them create that wealth.
Yeah. Awesome. I have two resolutions. One, for you to subscribe to this podcast, you, the listener. Number two, I have three actually. My second one is, Chris, you talked about, some are speeding on 85 miles an hour to get the tax, the docs in. Some are doing it right away. I have a feeling there's a lot listening here that maybe don't have their numbers together or right. They're sort of backtracking. They're spending, they're doing the whole receipt thing. So I think one resolution is to get it right the first time. Get your book set up correctly. Professional tax accounting can help with that. They can even help with the bookkeeping. But if that is all good, then you're not racing 85 miles an hour on the highway. You're just saying, oh, yeah, here everything's good. Here are the numbers. And we have a plan. And then my third, I would love, Mark, for Michigan. I don't like Michigan. I would love for Michigan to beat Ohio State for a third year in a row, because I'm a Purdue fan. So, we're a good basketball school. There's really no football there. So that's my third resolution for Michigan to once again, just because I hate Ohio State more than Michigan. And I know there's Ohio State listeners, so we're not here to bash universities, but Mark is a Buckeye apparently.
It's why Oral Roberts University does not have a football team, so we don't have to talk about it.
Hey, but they have a decent basketball team. Like, they were March Madness a couple times, right? They're usually like
Coming
the
up.
15 or 16 seed. They've had a big upset, haven't they?
Yeah, they got a good team this year.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't mind the haters. We're always on top, so we don't mind the haters. You're gonna get haters when you're on top. When you're competing for the national championship every year, you're gonna attract haters. Well, it's just the way it is.
That's true. Yeah, you can't argue with the results.
And that's a great segue. Tax season, a lot of people hate it. Yeah. But you know what? You still got to play the game.
Yes.
So you got to get out there and get your stuff in and get your taxes taken care of and have a plan. And like Denny and everybody said already, you got to start planning for 2023 now. Don't wait and have the same conversation again next year.
Yeah, but we need to make clear that there is a phenomenal feeling of accomplishment when you're ahead of the game and you're not in the stressful level to hurry up and get it done and the pressures. And of course, when you wait to the last minute, everything else in your life goes wrong. That makes it so hard to make that happen. So we love and we want to partner with people to help them. We will bug you. We will call you. We will say, you need to get your stuff in here. And that's what we're really all about, is partnering as a team to each client. And if we know a client specifically always has an issue getting around in time, man, my team's calling them. Hey, I've actually had where I had to call a client. So it kind of goes up like Mark and Chris and Kaylee, they all have clients. And the team will say, hey, your client just isn't getting it in here. I've called my clients when I got that call. Hey, I'm showing up Saturday. What do you mean you're showing up Saturday? Well, I want to help you get your papers together because right now you're not doing very good. They don't want me coming over on their Saturdays. So, but that's part of the relationship we want.
Right. And we really try to help. We really try to educate and train our clients. I had a client, I was on vacation last week, so it was nice to have a break. But I had a client email me, and she says, hey, January 3rd was, where's my tax organizer? She's already trained to say, what is a tax organizer? That's where we mail out from ProTax about 4 pages that helps you categorize or summarize what you need to turn in for tax returns. I'll say many clients don't use it, but we created it because clients were always like, what do I need to turn in? And I'm always like, well, haven't you filed taxes for the last 30 years? I mean, it's kind of the same thing every year, but so we don't have to have that conversation. We have this tax organizer, and then we also have a summary of our hours and contact information for ProTax for the tax season. And so by the time I was able to get back to her, we were already ahead of it. Our staff had already had them all printed off, dropped in the mail. And when I got to her a day or two later, when I got back from vacation, she goes, I already got it. And she was so happy that we were already ahead of that. So that tax organizer and that information, is on our website at www.protaxwma.com. And they'll be able to get that organizer off there if they need to access it, or they can call the office in or email us, and we'll also get that to them as well. But if we already did your taxes in the past years, generally you should be getting that through the mail, depending on the great U.S. Postal Service delivering it.
Sure. Yeah, and that's so fantastic, because that's part of this too, is I love how Wealth Management Accounting, PTA, we show the why. We're doing the good work, and if you want to know the why, we'll show you. And if you want to know the terms, we'll show you. And we're trying to build those good habits, right? Those good habits. Danny, you had a quote on discipline. What was that quote on discipline?
Oh boy,
I'm gonna make while he looks it up, because I think that's part of, Chris, you mentioned sometimes people don't like doing taxes. I mean, I don't know if people actually like doing taxes, but I think what's unique about Wealth Management Accounting is I wouldn't say we love we're passionate about our clients, which means we're passionate about doing good work, and that involves tax planning, doing their taxes right, leveraging the part of the tax code that no one leverages, the other 99% of those pages. So I think that's really cool. But talk about, maybe, because, we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions, or we've talked about that, but it is tax season, so people are thinking about that. What is this other 99% of the tax code that most maybe planners are not thinking about or leveraging for their customers?
Well, I was at a seminar yesterday with a wealth management seminar, and they were talking about how to accumulate wealth. And I said, one of the most basic things to do is work with us and make sure you're getting all the tax benefits. That's the easiest way to free up money, is with the tax code, using it to your advantage. And I'm sitting in a room, and most of the people were not taking advantage. They're leaving 5 to 10 grand a year sit on the table because they're not using us.
And I would say for me, it's communication. It's a two-way street. I want everybody to understand that. It's a two-way street for you as a client and us as professionals and our CPAs to communicate back and forth on tax questions, thoughts, and ideas. It shouldn't be all one way or the other. And that's just what I've been hearing over and over again as I've been bringing on more clients to our tax firm, is that many times they're saying their past CPAs and professionals are not communicating with them. They call in, they don't get a response back. It's days, sometimes weeks before they ever get a response back. And I'm not going to say we're going to be able to respond in 10 minutes, but we try to have our staff respond within 24 hours, at the most 48, to respond and deal with questions that clients have. Without that communication, I would find it very hard to do tax planning.
Yeah. There's always a callback. There's always a callback. Even in the height of, it could be April 5th. And yes, it might be 48 hours, but there's always a callback, even in the height of, of the season. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I was going to say, one of the fun things is having your year-end meeting with a new client and having them say, wow, this works. And I think we have a ton of new clients. I think Chris and I were talking the other day. We have 200 new clients that are just coming on this year. But sitting down this year with some of those we brought in last year and saying, wow, this does work, then that goes into the motivation for next year. Wow, what you told me does work. Okay, how do I fine tune this? Now I'm really listening, Mark. At first you said this was going to work. I'm like, okay, we'll see. Now I'm tuned in. What do I have to do? And you see them have a whole lot more interest in the next year in listening and applying and saying, what else can I do?
And we try to have a repeatable process. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing we work hard on, is that in one sense, it's a repeatable process that can be done every year, because I want people to understand what they're responsible for, what we're responsible for, to help have an efficient tax season. But that still leaves out there, the conversation may be different every year. Should I buy this piece of equipment? Should I put my money in an IRA? Should I be selling my business? When should I sell? I mean, I had half a dozen clients this year that were like, do I sell in December or do I wait till January to sell? Oh, and I want to take my Social Security. Do I start before I sell my business or after? And it's those conversations change, but the principles of the process are the same every year. So I find that many clients don't have to repeat, well, what do we need to do? I have clients now calling me up for year-end meetings. Instead of us calling them, they're like, hey, it's time for a year-end meeting. Hey, it's time for my tax organizer. Or, yeah, we know. We already got it for you. We're ready to roll. We're not having to call them to get them to do something. They're calling us, which we love. That makes them feel like they're more part of the team than us just providing a service.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a partnership. It's a collaboration. And that's what I love about our onboarding process is we want to understand, we understand asset protection, finances, estate. In a way, it's an intimate thing, right? This is, not necessarily just building a house or providing a marketing service. This is really into your family and your legacy and your estate. And I love that communication aspect that you guys bring to the table. Denny, did you find the quote?
Well, I did, but I also wanted to mention, again, we just had, what was so special about yesterday's second appointment with a new client from Texas was the disbelief typically that happens first. The second stage is, well, if you really can do all this, I have a whole bunch more people for you to, talk to. And I said, why don't we wait? And he said, pardon? So think about this. We're in the business financial planning, and I'm asking them, wait, why would we wait? Because your first appointment was we're too good to be true. Now you are knowing that we can do it. And I would rather at a year look at you and say, did we do it as we promised? Then send all the people. Well, it's kind of funny because nobody ever waits a year. But it's reverse psychology almost that, they won't do that. They're so excited because there's a plan. There's somebody they can talk to. They're not being put on a menu of 15 numbers to remember when they dial somebody. And so that personal service that I really do want them to truly experience a year from now, that it's not too good to be true. And our promises and what we're doing with communication really works. So
I want
go ahead, Chris.
And I want to add to that because I was with another client as well yesterday, and I won't mention their names, but longtime client that we're bringing on to the tax firm. And one thing that they wanted to do was say, hey, we weren't getting this communication from our past CPA. They had us in there. I had my bookkeeping manager, Don Gwiff, there in payroll. I had Heather, one of our CPAs, there. And they had 7 of their employees sitting around the conference table. And one of the things they said is, we want to have the ability to be able to call you up and ask some questions. We're not going to call and hassle you all the time. But they said, we want to be able to call you when we have a question and get an answer. And I said, you know what? That's what we're built for. But I said, that's also why we have a fixed price agreement, because we don't want you to have to worry about getting a bill every time you call us and thinking, gee, I have to weigh in between how much this is going to cost me calling you versus my benefit from what I asked you. And with our fixed price agreement, that's where we can have a price for the consulting, the tax returns, business entity reports, a lot of different things that flow into Pro Tax that can all be one price, and there's some discounts available depending on the services you get. But with that fixed price agreement, it made them all feel comfortable that they know we can answer the phone. And like Denny said, one of the things I said to him was, hey, when you call in, unless everybody's on the phone, somebody's going to answer the phone live. We're not leaving a voicemail. We're not hitting an extension. And they really love that personal service still. They know we're busy, and there may be a time they may get a voicemail, but that's because we're busy, not because we're too lazy to answer the phone first.
Well, I remember when I first came in, one of the most impressive things to me was Denny says, here's my personal phone. I give it to you because I expect you to use it. I just couldn't imagine anybody would do that. And then to watch him answer it in my meeting, by the way, from another client. But yeah, that was just impressive to me that, wow, that's the kind of service we're making available. And to find Denny would call every now and then just to check and make sure we were answering the phone correctly and rapidly, just to make sure that our service was good.
Yeah, and this is so important. And you're going to hear all other firms say they have good customer service and the very best, and everyone says that. And I'll tell you, the proof is in the pudding. Give us a call and see us answer the phones. It's not a robot. I tell you, I just discovered this AI app called Do Not Pay. DoNotPay.com. They bill themselves as the AI lawyers, not really, but really they became famous because they will basically go on hold for you. If you're trying to call Amazon or an airline, literally this robot will go on hold on you. And it's super successful because people are tired of waiting on the phone just for basic questions, just for basic, things. And this is such a, again, financial planning and tax planning, it's such a intimate thing in a way. Like, we want to do it right.
Yeah, if you're ever bored, call the IRS and ask them a question, and be on hold for an hour and a half or two before you answer, and that'd be real enjoyable.
You have to be really bored to do that, Chris.
Yeah,
that might be a fun YouTube video. Like, let's see how long.
Well, the other day we were on hold for an hour and a half. She got ready to give us our answer, and we got disconnected. So it was another hour and a half call back to get somebody else that you had to explain your whole problem to.
Yeah, one time I had a lovely grandma client came in that I worked with, and she had a tax issue, and we called, and she called in a few days later and said, "Hey, you know, why aren't you guys getting this done?" I explained to the lady, "Hey, we called, we were on like that, we were on the phone for an hour and a half or two. They finally answered, they hang up. I mean, it happens all the time." And she was mad, and I just nicely said, "You know what? Here's the phone number. Why don't you call them and let us know how that works?" She came back in the next day and said, "That was one of the worst experiences of my life. I don't know. Now I understand what you were talking about." I said, "Yes, this is not an easy task. You would think calling the Irish would be easy. Unfortunately, it's
They
not
just
easy.
Chris, they just hired what, 26,000? How many?
87,000.
Oh,
It was
87,000
not to
employees.
answer the phone, to come out and try to collect money.
Well, yeah,
So
collect.
that's enforcement. Hey, I have that quote that you've been waiting so patiently for. It is discipline, not desire, that determines your destiny. We help people with the discipline to implement their plans that does change their destiny.
Yeah.
And Denny, let's get into that, because that was one of the first things I noticed. I was in the financial world before I got into marketing and hosting podcasts. And it seems like a lot of the marketing was, we have, not that this is not what wealth management accounting is, it's what others do. The competitions, they have like these magic pills or these magic bullets, like take the red pill, take the blue pill, all your problems will be solved. And your approach wasn't that. It was, hey, do you have your numbers? Do you have an operating agreement? It was like really good questions. And then it was like, oh my gosh, I don't have any of that. This does seem hard. I got to build some disciplines, and then you're there to help me build that discipline. So you sort of help. I think you call it light bulb moments, but this stuff is not easy work, and we help a lot of people do the work, but you have to learn that discipline, and then we're here as the guide to, and we'll answer the phone and we'll be there with you. But that's just a different approach. It's not like, like sales, right? You're a great salesperson. Like sales, like, oh, we got, we have this great product, right? Or we have this great concept, which we do. We have things like we'll implement the family LLC or the IRA rescue plan, but our approach is, I would say, realistic, but also inspirational. Is that possible?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the inspiration really comes from the client when we help them get focused on what they really want to have happen, their dreams. It's not where our product is suddenly going to change your life and make all your dreams come true when they don't even know what they are. We are really anti-product. We are helping create a relationship for them.
What do you mean by that, though?
Because the product is only there to make their dreams happen. The product isn't the dream, and it's not going to make it. So if they don't have clearly defined dreams and goals, once that's established, you place the product as an assistant. We don't focus on product. Once we clearly define the path, then we suggest possible choices to make that happen. Totally different perspective. Go ahead, Chris.
The actual reason why I joined in working with Denny 22 years ago, almost now, I was going to work for another financial planner, and they sold mutual funds, some stocks, and some variable annuities, and it was just selling a product. And this is really before Denny and I really communicated what we were doing in this business. So this wasn't me listening to Denny and then going back and saying, no, I can't do this with this gentleman. I was graduating from Oral Roberts University, and I had a job already lined up with another financial planner. And right as I graduated, I'm like, I don't want to just sell, a mutual fund or a stock or, a variable annuity person. That's not planning. That's not what I would call really helping somebody. I mean, I can't control any of those things. Whether a stock goes up or down, whether the mutual fund, I can't. I'm just.
Bitcoin's up today, Chris.
Huh?
Bitcoin's up today. Can't control. No one can control that.
Tomorrow. I can't control any of that, but what I can do is find something like when I worked with Denny was sit down with somebody, work through the tax code a little bit, work through their goals, finding what product fits that goal. It's more than just selling the product; it's a plan. And by going through the process and steps that Denny had and talked through, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to help people. It's bigger than this one thing. It's bigger than selling a product. It's asset protection, estate planning, investment management, and taxes. It's 4 different areas that really help somebody that we all have in our lives, and that's what excited me to work with Denny and work with this team that we built over the last 20 years.
Well, to sit at the table and they're asking about this and that, and we say, hey, only if it fits in your plan. Only, and that's what Denny's always said. Where does it fit? Because they'll ask you, do you guys do life insurance? Do you do this? And you kind of see them, their eyes open when you say, hey, yeah, we do those things, but it's all got to fit in the plan. Where do you want to go? And then we'll make it fit. It's a whole different conversation than they've heard sitting at our table.
Yeah, I see it as the market, business owners, medium, high net worth individuals, they're hearing the top-down approach. You need this product or this new idea, like my favorite, which it's great, like infinite banking, Let's leverage life insurance as a vehicle, or, in my world, the crypto world, like let's do a crypto Roth IRA, because if Bitcoin explodes, then, you have all the same benefits. It's like, okay, these are cool things. I get it. But how's that fit? And I think someone said this before, right? We have products, like we can do all those things, like, to be clear, in a way we're full service, all inclusive, but the products are just a vehicle. They're just a vehicle to help you get to where you want, and what you want is going to be different than what this person wants. And it's sort of like that perfect balance of, we have rhythms and disciplines, we have things, an approach, but the plan is bespoke. It's different depending on what you want and what your situation is.
Yeah, what's interesting, we have a very customizable plan for every client. So your plan is never the same as anybody else. But the funny thing is all these tools are available out there to everybody to use. We're not doing anything uniquely special. We're just figuring out how to use the tools right and going through those processes with the client and having that communication. It's any other advisor out there, and tax laws are all out there available. I mean, it's just, we're not doing anything unique. It's taking it and working through the client's goals and needs, and really trying to find out what fits them best.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I love, right? We've said a lot, the family office concept, or the tools you see Warren Buffett and Jeff Bezos, not just billionaires, but multi-billionaires. We have access to those tools. And I would say maybe this is our Midwestern roots. I mean, I love the Midwest. But there's a humble approach to what we do. I don't think wealth management accounting makes any assumptions. We don't size up a person when they come in. We ask really good questions, and we try to figure out where they're at. And from that, we'll develop a plan. And if that means using a really cool, unique life insurance product or crypto, I don't know if you guys are doing crypto, but that's more just for me. I know it's a volatile asset. I get it. It's really down right now, but it's going back up.
Hey, Justin, how's your risk ratio doing on your investment strategies? That's what we talk about here.
Yes. What is risk ratio? That's a good segue. I'm 30 years old, so is my risk ratio what? 30, 70? 70 risky? It might be higher than that with the crypto stuff, but
yeah, I was going to say probably.
Yeah, you only need to be safe with 30% of your portfolio, Justin. So
we're not asking for much, and you're not needing much right now.
You can take 70% of your net worth and have fun.
Well, sometimes that fun means a lot of losses.
That is a topic. I've heard a lot of people, when I bring up safe money with the market the way it is, you're a lot more interest in, wow, what else can I do, Mark?
Yeah, and I think Mark and I and Denny and now Kaylee, we all approach it, we all get hit with, should I buy, Justin's favorite cryptocurrency?
Yes.
No.
And it was good.
I say, go talk to Justin.
Should I buy
Don't do it.
Should I buy gold? Should I buy real estate? And I've kind of gotten to the point now, it's like, you know what? I handle safe investments. What you do with your risk investments, I don't really care. I'll send you to certain people that if you want stocks or mutual funds and that kind of stuff. But what I do is I deal with safe, and let's at least work on your risk ratio, 100 minus your age, and let me help with your safe investments, either through overfunding life insurance or index annuities. Those are tools that everybody can use. I mean, has anybody looked at the Secure 2.0 Act recently that just got passed on December 29th or 30th here by the Congress and Senate and President Joe Biden? They're allowing annuities inside 401k plans now. I mean, why are they doing that? Because even the government knows that you need to have a risk ratio finally. It only took a few years for them to get there, but hey, we've been talking about this for years. But that is a part of the plan that everybody should have on the table available to them. And that's what we work through, is that risk ratio, to make sure that you have availability to still make a great rate of return, but reduce your safety, or reduce your risk as much as possible and have that safety.
Well, especially in a time of inflation and, markets up and down.
Well, we brought that up, and we want to encompass all the investments. We're not, you should only have this product, or you shouldn't have market risk. We have a relationship with Reynolds Wealth Management and Greg Reynolds, that he's phenomenal in working with us on people that want stocks, mutual funds, or any of that kind of stuff. But what's so important is he's intimately involved with the tax planning. So people say, well, I want you to use my broker. Well, and all of a sudden that broker inadvertently creates a tax liability that really messes up our tax planning. And that's why, why did I have to use your guys? Well, you don't, but if you want to sign off that we don't care about your tax liability, you can use anybody you want. Now, wait a minute. You mean your guys is that much plugged in with your team on my tax planning? Absolutely. So that's what's so hard. People can use any segment they want, but they have to sign off that they don't care about the planning when they bring in an uninformed person. Because every broker out there will say, I create wealth by managing your investments. I'm not doing your tax returns, your tax planning. And that's legitimate. That's the way it is. But we do have a connection that they are literally. So just to give you an example, a client calls up and say, hey, I need $20,000. I want to go on a cruise. We go through a process that where does the money come from? Where's their tax liability? What's the best way to get them on the right flavor? And you say, what do you mean the flavor? Can we pull an investment we haven't really had much of a gain that's in the market? Can we pull one that really, it's never going to come back up, grab the loss to offset that gain? That all happens within 24 hours on every client that asks for distribution. Unheard of, Justin. And that's what's so important about Greg will not send the money until we go through this process. That's just an automatic part of the team working together. Unbelievable results in tax planning. Just those steps.
Well, I just had an example. I got a client that wanted to move a large sum of money back to safe. And the unique thing with Greg, you're just calling up. We're talking about when to do it. It's not a fight. Where else would you go that there isn't going to be, well, man, you shouldn't do that, Mark, or I'm going to talk to the client. No, it's okay. Here's the best time to do that. Yes, we'll get that done, Mark. And that's just so unique in what Denny's saying, to be able to work with that. He's saying, well, it's probably better after the first of the year tax-wise. Where else can you do that?
Yeah. And I would add that, what Denny said earlier, the reason why it's our busiest time of year here at the end of the year, now we're past it, so I'm glad with that part. Yeah. But, I had clients in the last month and a half call me up, hey, should I take some losses on my stocks? I mean, everybody's stocks did great last year. No, everybody's stocks didn't do great last year in 2022. Sorry, got mixed up which year it was. So that's, the important part of that is, should I take these losses? And I had some clients that actually earlier in the year, before inflation really kicked in, I sold some real estate when the prices were still way up, or some other stocks that might have been early in the year. And through Greg and myself and our tax team, clients are like, what should I do? And we said, you know what? There's some stocks that you may have now that are down here at the end of the year that you still like to keep, but are in a loss position. Well, you know what we can do? We can have Greg sell them at a loss, which now that loss will offset their capital gains on what they sold earlier in the year or some real estate that they sold. Now that they don't own that stock anymore, but they got the loss to reduce their tax liability, you know what? Now they can take that money either after 30 days if it's kind of non-qualified or right away for an IRA. They can go back and buy that stock they still want to keep, not at a lower price. And that was our whole team working together through that tax planning process that probably most brokers wouldn't do by themselves. But again, it was a communication of a client saying, here's what happened. Here's my goals this year. What can the team do? We came up with a plan. The client still owns the stock they owned before, now at a lesser price point. They reduced their tax liability, and it was a great plan that worked together.
And it's all those moving parts that if you don't have a cohesive team, a holistic approach, doesn't happen. And the bottom line is, if you don't have that, it's costing you a lot of money. And when you do have it, you have a solid plan, you're saving money, and really you just have people have your back. Quite simply, that's what do we all want? We want to make money, want to grow wealth. We all have different goals, but we want someone that has our back through that process. All right, Kaylee, we like saying the truth here on the Wealth Management Unfiltered podcast. What is this week's inconvenient truth question, Kaylee?
All right. So, looking at the quote from Mark Twain, it ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It is what you know for sure that just ain't so. The question is, how could this be applied to our clients, prospects, and the financial industry?
I'll go first real quick. Again, to me, it's a two-way process, like I talked about earlier, in education. We provide a lot of educational material through our conversations, through materials we have on our website. And also there's a lot of education out there on the internet. So by researching, people taking time, it's weird that, one of my main goals is to save money for retirement and retire, right? I don't want to work all my life. It sounds like a pretty important part of your life, but yet most people don't take any time hardly to put a plan together or spend time reviewing and studying to get to that point. They sure want to have a lot of dates with their future or with their girlfriend or boyfriend to get married a lot of times and go out, and try to court them, but you don't want to court your retirement. You got to put a plan together. You got to take that time. So getting that education and finding somebody that can help educate you through that, like our firm, Wealth Management Accounting and ProTax and DR Financial Group, is real important to help you learn what you should know, I guess.
Yeah. And you can subscribe to this podcast where we're giving education tidbits every single week.
That too.
So, Mark, what do you have?
Well, I just been meeting with a client, very successful, been in the business, in the building business, probably 20, 30 years, and came in, had some issues. And he just said, oh my gosh, I have been paying, I've got attorneys involved, accountants, and I don't have a plan. This is, I can't believe how many taxes I have paid that I didn't need to pay. Nobody told me. He said, this isn't complicated stuff you're showing me, but nobody told me. And he was just 30 some years in the business, done very, very well. But, didn't know what he didn't know, and it's cost him thousands, and he's realizing it. And had no shortage of advisors and people involved with him. 3 or 4 attorneys, several accountants, financial advisor.
Yeah, that leads to he thought that he was being surrounded with the correct people. So that it isn't what he thought. He was getting good advice, and turned out that he wasn't pleased. So this isn't, again, not in slamming everybody else, but it's just when you have communication, the results are almost unbelievable. And what I took it, all of a sudden that light bulb went on. They said, oh my goodness, the communication would have changed how I accumulated wealth over what? Decades. And And we have to be careful, because when they start lamenting about what they should have done, that's a dangerous path. No, hey, you're here now. We can make great changes. Let's get her moving.
The best is yet to come. Frank Sinatra.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, just being able to work together. What he had was different opinions, not a team. And that's what he saw here. You know, I've got a team. You guys are working together for me. I had a lot of different parts. Now you guys are bringing that together with one team.
Yep. It's a team, but it's not groupthink, to be clear. We
Right.
don't always agree, but we always have the client's goals in mind. It's checks and balances. It's looking at it from not just one perspective of, hey, I need to make a distribution to pay for a cruise. It's like, all right, what's the tax implications? What are these implications here? How can we balance that? So it's great checks and balances. It's a holistic approach, and it's advisors and people fighting for you, fighting for the customer. Yeah, Denny, what is your answer?
I think I might have mentioned this in another podcast, but we keep running across people that have done. Remember, we talked about the amount of people that actually do estate planning, and then you have the ones that actually did it, but don't know what they did, and the misuse of the living trust. Living trust is a great tool, but I can't believe the amount of people say, "Oh no, my living trust, protects my assets, reduces my tax liability, eliminates probate, and provides privacy." And I said, well, you got 2 out of the 4 wrong. I mean, right. But you realize it doesn't help tax reduction, and it isn't protecting your assets. Yes, it does. I mean, so it's that inconvenient truth that they think that they have the right planning and the right advice, and then finding out that it just ain't so. Back to Kaylee's. So that perception of their reality that just ain't so is kind of shocking. And that's what we're just trying to educate. Congratulations, you're one of those 30% in the whole country that actually did some planning, but let's make sure you know what it will and won't do.
Yeah. Let's show the why. Fantastic. And on that note, so today we talked about some resolutions. I love where today went. We talked from everything from risk ratio to tax planning. There's so many things you as a listener can do, and it can feel overwhelming. Don't get me wrong. Don't get us wrong.
It is.
But we're here as a guide. If you want to see the why behind some of this, previous podcasts, we talked about family LLC. We talked about asset protection. We have a whole resource library on our website with blogs, with PDFs, with videos. Don't take our word for it. Read the source material. It is all fantastic. And so, and then number 3, if you're ready to dive in, start the year right. Let's get 2023 locked in. Meet with any of our team, Denny, Chris, Mark, Kaylee. We have other advisors who are ready to meet with you. So visit our website. You can schedule an appointment, a phone call. We're not robots or AI chatbots. We are real people. I can guarantee you that we are real people. And if you're local, whether you're in Florida or Fort Wayne, you can meet us in person. But, we work with people all over the country, and we're excited to work with you. So thank you, Kaylee, Denny, Mark, and Chris. What a great roundtable it was today. We'll see you next time on the Wealth Management Unfiltered podcast.